Hello there everyone, Ashnflash here, and welcome on into my review of The Batman. And I'm so excited to talk about this movie. There's a bunch of different chapters. If you want to check them out down below, we've got non-spoilers, spoilers, sequel talk, and villains that I'd like to see pop up, as well as we're going to discuss the Lego sets that we got and an idea for one set that I have. So you can check all of that out linked down below. I guess my non-spoiler review for this movie would be that I really loved it. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It really surpassed all my expectations, I think, and it gave me so many new expectations for the future of the Batverse, and I'm so excited about all that. I think the performances and the cinematography was incredible. The shots in this movie, as well as the music and the score, just became instantly iconic, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the future with all this. So we'll touch on that later on, but yeah, non-spoilers. It is very, very dark. It is definitely pushing, like they said, the boundaries of PG-13. You don't necessarily see as much as you hear about them discuss certain like crime scenes and maybe even some people's deaths. You don't necessarily see it. So anyways, just keep all that in mind in case you're wondering. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the spoiler review. I loved the relationships in this movie. I think that it was really just some of the best connections and on-screen adaptations that we've gotten for some of these characters. And I apologize. I know that when I talk about Spider-Man and sometimes in reviews for like Lego sets, I'll be like, oh, this is a cool reference to like the video game, the PS4 one. And I'm going to do the same here when I reference other video games and other movies and TV shows, because that's my main source of Batman. And I know that, of course, we'll talk a little bit about the comics as well. But when it came to the characters, I thought with Alfred and Batman's relationship, I really appreciated theirs. And again, it's hard not to compare to others. It was strained, and we actually saw and kind of felt the reasonings behind that, whereas in Dark Knight Rises, all of a sudden he just up and leaves. Where here, I think that it was really interesting that it was almost, I got the sense that Alfred was almost trying to seek Bruce's approval. Yeah, he was for helping Gotham and helping Batman and Bruce, but I think that he was almost like helping with the Riddler puzzles out of like, trying to almost score points with him, and even just maybe having something to have this connection with Bruce, I thought was really interesting. And, he was just kind of so eager to help him. And we saw that with the bomb, which to me really harkened back to the Batman Telltale series with the explosion there at the tower with the Riddler as well. And yeah, just thinking about that kind of gets me choked up. And I was really genuinely concerned for Alfred. I wasn't sure if he was going to make it out. I thought that would have been really brave for them to kill off Alfred in this new world that they're trying to set up. So I'm glad he's okay. And they had a really sweet moment in the hospital. And we see him, his words cut deep when he said that you're not my father, very Lego Batman-esque. And of course, him coming to that realization later was just really powerful. And the relationship, though, again, I'm sorry, but with Gordon and Batman here was just, I think, the greatest we have ever seen. The buddy cop almost of the interrogations and them solving clues and the riddles and all these different things, I thought were really fun. Like, genuine. I feel like out of anyone in the movie, I think they had the most on-screen time together, the two of them. And I really loved that. Like, I didn't really expect that, and I think that Gordon sometimes is really overlooked, and he's just kind of there, he's just kind of like representing the police force, and it explains like why the cops aren't going after him. And I think that here we definitely saw like this was a relationship here, and I really genuinely appreciated that. And the moment when after he was already concussed from the explosion, and then I think it was when Penguin was shooting at them and he got knocked out or whatever it was, and he was lying on the floor in the rain, pinned behind the truck, Gordon just comes out of nowhere with his little pistol, taking on Penguin with the submachine guns and everything. And I'm just like, look at that. Like, to me, that felt so sweet. Like, that was like genuinely his police like partner was in trouble, and what did he do? He just rushed in to save him. Then Batman left, but he's going into the Batmobile. But I really thought that, maybe I'm reading too much into that, but that's what I got there. So I thought that was really cool. The relationship between Selina and Bruce as well, or I guess mostly Batman here, was really great. One of my favorite lines from the movie came out from her, and it was, the first line was about, "Are you horribly scarred under there?" And he said yes. And a lot of people think like, oh yeah, like it's funny because maybe he's got like scars underneath his face. To me, he said yes, of course, referring to the emotional scarring that he has from his parents. So I really appreciated that. And then the second line that I loved a lot was the line about, "You're already spoken for," referring to he is spoken for from Gotham City. His love is for Gotham City and protecting Gotham. And we saw that in this movie like we have never seen before. And yeah, it was just incredible. Like the Batmobile chase was amazing. I really really loved that, as well as there was moments where I definitely felt like it was like the Arkham games when he was dangling on the side there. I felt like, you're trying to evade the goons and stuff like that. So I really appreciated all that, and the fighting there as well. Almost like Predator mode, and with he grabbed one of whatever, like a canister or something, and threw it and exploded it to create like a smoke effect. Again, just like the Arkham games. So I kind of really felt that there, and I really appreciated that. Of course, he uses smoke pellets and stuff to get away as usual, but I really enjoyed that. And Penguin was really fun. I really loved his performance. He was completely unrecognizable as Colin Farrell. And of course, really the main villain, Carmine Falcone, or Falcone, however you want to say it, racial ghoul, Razzle Ghoul, symbiote, it doesn't matter. Don't at me. But I really thought his performance was great, and I think that I'm glad that a not as big of a player for a villain got this much attention and was really integral to the story. I really appreciate that, and even the fact that I like that we don't have an answer for who killed the Waynes. That was actually one of my favorite things, was that one moment it's Sal Maroni, and then one moment it's the Falcones, and then the next moment Alfred's like, but it also just literally could have been anyone just trying to score some cash because it's Gotham City and it's a cesspool of crime. So I really love that, and of course we could even add more into that in future installments if we could get the answer and things like that. Of course, we have to talk about Riddler, which was just like really, like, the performance was great. I don't think that I still like the outfit. That's just me personally. I really am a sucker for one in a suit and the bowler hat, but maybe in time, especially because he is an attention hog. But I did appreciate the fact that he did have a mask, and the fact that it did actually kind of tie into Batman and Bruce's relationship, how he was saying that with the mask, that's who he is. He's the Riddler. He's not Edward Nashton. He is the Riddler. And I really appreciated that, as Bruce Wayne is the alias for Batman. He is actually Batman, and Bruce Wayne is just this persona that he has to put on when he goes out into public, which I really appreciated. And again, going into that, I loved what they did with having him be this night owl and having him just awake for hours upon hours, that he's literally forgetting things, that he has to journal it down, and he's got these contact lenses that are recording everything so that he can go back and rewatch it when he's slept. And the sunglasses because it's too bright in the morning. I relate to that. But yeah, I really loved that whole, like, all of his tech that he had here with the batarang on his chest, with the flare that he had, and the Batmobile, of course, was an amazing tool. And then we saw the Bat Cycle at the end as well. And with the flooding, Bat Boat, he actually learned how to pilot a boat when he was filming one of the Twilight movies. He actually crashed it, so maybe he can get redemption driving the Batboat since Gotham's flooded in the second one. But speaking of gadgets, I do want to touch upon this main one, which brings us here into the sequels and setups for the future, and that was actually Bane. And you might be wondering what I'm talking about, and I've seen a lot of other people think this, because I'm not alone here. But the vial that he injects himself with was a green liquid that increased his functions. Like it made him agile again after being, he's probably concussed from the explosions and everything already. And he's just, so beaten up from everything there, that whole like week. And he was just lying there. And then it almost felt like he was so reluctant to grab that out of his utility belt to actually inject himself with. So I thought that was a really interesting sort of take on Venom there, and he needs to snap out of it. So again, very Bane-esque, and I think that'd be really interesting if that is a setup for Bane. Maybe he is reluctant to have to use Venom to also fight him. Maybe he's already fought Bane. I don't know. Like, Joker is in prison, and I thought that was really interesting too. Not too excited about Joker being the villain. I don't want all movies and things like that to suffer from what the Arkham games have, where the Joker is the villain every single time. There's so many other villains that need attention, like Falcone here, and Riddler was great, a redemption for them. And I think that it almost reminds me of like Thanos showing up at the end of the Avengers movie, where it's almost sort of teasing what is to come and what that's setting up. So we'll have to wait and see. Some of the other people here that I think we could get is Two-Face, Harvey Dent. We do have a hole now in the political system. Now that we don't have a district attorney, we need a new one for Gotham. So that'd be really cool. As well as, of course, they've talked about Mr. Freeze and the whole setup there at the end. If you didn't know, this was based off of the Long Halloween. And to me, the ending reminded me a lot of another big story of No Man's Land, where Gotham is also in ruins and things like that. And it is sort of sectioned off. We've got a Joker section, a Scarecrow section, all of it belonging to these different villains. And I kind of wonder if that's where we're headed. Maybe some of the 4 TV shows that we can have, the GCPD, the Penguin, the Catwoman one, and the Arkham Asylum one, maybe they all sort of set up that in a sequel for this. So I think that would be really interesting to see that if they go down that road again, sort of adapting these iconic storylines, which I would really appreciate. I think that you definitely got that sense here of how much care was put into this movie and the understanding of Batman, especially with that no killing rule at Zack Snyder and all of the Snyderverse fans. Another villain, of course, that they set up was Hush, and I really didn't expect that, and I was so proud of my dad for realizing that as well, that they were referencing that. And I loved the fact that they kind of twisted it a bit, and they had his dad presumably be a reporter, and he was investigating the Waynes, and of course they try to pay him off with hush money, and just that alone I was happy with. But then the words hush came on screen, that was really great. And so yeah, I think that's definitely setting up a sequel there. Like, there's definitely an opportunity there for Thomas Elliott to really hate Bruce Wayne and be jealous of everything that he's done, and the fact that Bruce just isn't a public figure as well. It would be really interesting because it wouldn't really need to be someone impersonating him. Like, literally, if he just comes out looking like Bruce Wayne, which is what he does, really dark stuff to make himself look like Bruce Wayne. But when he does that, the impression and everything, like, no one knows who Bruce Wayne is. He's secluded. Like, I think that would be really fascinating to see in a sequel. So, yeah, that's kind of my ideas for the sequel. There's a lot more that I'd like to talk about, maybe in a separate video. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But let's talk about the Lego sets and how well they did. We, of course, had the small Batmobile. That's fine. Perfect. And then we had the chase, which is really interesting because I can't think of too many movies and TV shows where the very, very final last scene of the movie was a set, especially ones that came out before the movie. So that was really interesting. I think that's a fun set. And at first I was like, oh, we're getting another motorcycle. Like, why isn't it just the one in the Batcave? We now know it's a different design. So that was really cool. Also, the Batmobile, fantastic. Can't recommend that one enough. Would have been nice if Falcone came in there with Penguin, if they had, another small car or something like that. But I think that was really great. And of course, the Batcave, like, I can't recommend that set enough. Genuinely one of my favorite Batcaves ever, I think. And I think the figures are just fantastic there that you're getting in there. I do have an idea for one other set, and that would be, maybe it could be an 18+ set, maybe not, but the iceberg lounge would be really, really cool. That window was just so beautiful looking out into the city, as well as we've got like the pool table there to the right, and maybe you could have like some play features there to the left, like jumping features and things like that. I don't know. I really just think that having a set with Falcone would be great. Unfortunately, this is like really the only time that we could get Falcone in a Lego set, so I'm kind of sad that we didn't get him. But maybe, you never know. Like maybe a SDCC set. I don't know if those are going to return this year, but I could see that maybe being something. And yeah, crazy as well to see the iceberg lounge in the movie. So anyways, everyone, that is my review of the Batman. This is actually my second time recording it. The first one, I think, was like 35 minutes, and I figured that I should trim it down a bit and make my thoughts more cohesive. So yeah, let me know if you enjoyed the movie. What did you think of it? Do you have any ideas for Lego sets? If you want to, I've got 3 really cool videos linked here at the end. One of them is a video I just put out yesterday of actually looking at and compiling all of my reviews of the Batman sets, as well as I have another video actually upgrading the Batman figure to make it a little bit more accurate to what we actually see in the movie, as well as there's another video actually of combining the sets, and you can actually like fit the Batmobile in the Batcave and stuff like that. Also, we're gonna have a Batman CMF series releasing later on this weekend too, so stay tuned for that. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope you all have a great day. I will see you all in the next one.